this little section of what would be a roof. There is construction paper. This is 3/8 AP8 sheathing, and this is the normal 2x6 Douglas fir that's used in in residential homes and a lot of commercial. Anyways, it's not going to be this easy when done on site, but it will be almost as easy. So right now I'm in an attic space, a crawl space. Usually I'll be down like this, so I'm going to be on my knees. Thanks, we have a forklift here, so that's not going to be the case. I have a very inexpensive cordless drill, Hitachi. I have a mandrel with a core bit, Milwaukee brand. Then I got a Vermont American 1/4 inch drill. You use 3/16 quarters, but the longer the better, obviously, because you're going to be going through all this. Anyways, it's longer than it has to be. You're probably going to want to find like a 12 inch because you're going to be in the attic. You're not going to have a lot of room, but luckily I don't have that kind of difficulty right now. So you got your bubble right there, and now I got to start it a little bit. Pull it out a little to relieve some of the boogers. Yes, that's a technical term, boogers. You'll probably have a more powerful drill. So now I'm through the wood, I can feel it. Now I'm about to go into the clay or slate or whatever your roof is. No pressure at all. Very little pressure. Back the bit out. Always keep it turning while you're backing it out. That's it for right now. Now we're going to show what it looks like from the top. Okay, so now we have a pretty clean hole. This is a more 4-inch tile than usual. Okay, now that noise you heard was a clutch. It is a very inexpensive drill. And I like to use a clutch, so if something binds, it'll just stop. Now I'm taking out the core. Look how beautiful that is. Nice and clean. You want to remove the stuff in the surface, maybe even pull it out a little bit. The C-clamp is simply to hold the structure to the forklift. Now, here's a product I found after asking around. It's roof tile adhesive. It's about $6 to $7 a tube, but you get a lot of use out of it. Anyways, I'm getting it ready for my caulking gun. Now, this part here, that is the key to this whole thing. That right there. The fact that it has a nice wide diameter is what's going to keep it securely. So what we're going to do, it's about 2 inches. You can tell this is not rehearsed. I am putting ample amounts on. I'm going to walk to my don't want to get my hands gooky, so I'm going to pack it down a little bit with this. Gooky, that's the official term. Now we have a 3/8 by 4.5 inch. Sure. Yeah, 4.5 inch lag, which is way plenty. On this lag, there's a little neoprene laminated washer. I know that's a little overkill, but what the heck. So what I'm going to do, now let me explain also while I'm doing this, that this would probably be the longest one that we ever made. I made this one extra long just for the purposes of the shoot. There we go. But this would be the longest one you probably ever think of needing. Go down to that 1/4 inch hole, set this firmly around, and start. Down. 1/4 inch hole, 3/8 lag. After I do this, I'm going to blow off the dust around there, and I'm going to put some of this caulking, or tile adhesive, whatever you want to call it, whatever it says on there. Okay. Now make sure you send the younger guy up to do this. Now my thought is, this is going to be an expensive unit. I'm figuring we can probably get these out of the door to start with about between $30 and $50, which is like twice as expensive as anything else. But if you're not going to have to take off any tile, what does that save? I want to put some of this all the way around. Now I'm going to tighten this down. I started to before. And no need to see the dial on this one, but I will tell you how many pounds I'm putting on it. According to this, it's about 50 pounds. Pull it out. It's pretty darn rigid. There's several kind of heads that we'll have to use, and because I want to make sure no moisture ever gets in this, I'm going to put some tape, some plumber's tape, Teflon tape, whatever, around here. Just like you would an air fitting. Now this is probably going to be the most often used type. This has a hole in it to accept 3/8 all thread. For this unit here, which gives you multi-angle, and the whole fact that this cap that we manufactured spins on here gives it some adjustment. And that adjustment is going to make it so you can, once you have something like this set on it, you can get extra play north, south, east, and west by just turning it. You could use a big channel lock if you want. I don't see any reason that it would have to be any tighter than hand tight. Okay, and you put on your, let me take this off. I have this piece on just to show you something later. This keeps it rigid. 2 star washers on the inside to lock it in place. Tighten like that. You got that for adjustment. Any way you want to go with it. Okay. So now we're wondering how much, how strong is this thing? Actually. And so what I'm going to do now It's kind of unheard of, and is I'm going to try to break it. Normally I wouldn't do this, obviously, but I'll try to put it through a little punishment. And just free. That was more than half of my weight, 200 pounds. That's about 3/4 of my weight. And of course that's before that adhesive is dry, which is going to give you that much more holding power. Now, the other heads are like this. They can be at your desired angle, also relieved a little bit to fit a wrench around there. So in actuality, this is going to be the size most commonly sold. This is 7-inch, we'll call it 6-inch standard. And it's the same exact thing almost as you saw, except instead of having the pipe threaded, we actually thread the inside of the pipe, and then we have this nipple to attach them to. This here is really the whole secret of this thing. When you torque down through the middle and create enough pressure, you're just going to be resting on this outside rim, and that is going to give it, it's going to act like it's on a firm base with even torque all the way around. I don't see anything with 2 lags being any stronger than this. In fact, I'm sure it is way more than anyone needs, especially if you have 4 to 6 of them on one panel. Okay, so that's basically a cross section of what would be your existing roof. You see in here the goop that's oozed out of the concaved bottom, which is that right there, and it's torquing down on that nice and strong, nice and smugly. This is of course your tile you will not have to replace, and the paper and the sheathing and the joists. But since that looks so easy, just to let you know that I use that same bit already on this slate called Malaysian Groove. This is very brittle. It's kind of brittle. It's kind of like a bouquet candy blue almost, but it's extremely brittle. Made a nice clean hole. And also this is, which is very common in Southern California. What do they call it? They call it the chaparral. I got the tiles for free, so I took broken ones. But anyways, there was absolutely, this is how clean the cut is. That actual one chip there was from me dropping a screwdriver against it. But there you go. And there you have it. Buy the product, buy American.